Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by MaryAnn Hennings, the hair department head for the great Amazon limited series, Daisy Jones and the Six. MaryAnn, I love the show so much. I know obviously the book was so beloved. I guess just as, for starters, like how familiar were you with the book? Were you a fan, and did that like kind of, I guess, kind of influence how you thought the hair should look, I guess, going in?
Yeah, well, first off, it's just such an easy read because it's so exciting straight away and it's so interesting and all the drama in it and the rock and roll and drugs. I mean, I just speed read it, and it was a great reference. The way it was written, I could just always go back and look through the book, and I felt like having that book, I knew these characters before I met them, before I met the actors, and they studied them so well. Their characters, it was so fun meeting them and just talking with them as themselves. And then when we met to talk about the hair, they weren't the same people. They were, they turned into this sweet young band that just, the two brothers lived at home. They practiced in their garage. They were just these sweet kids, and nobody was the actor or was the character that they were in the end. They all just became so broken and so changed, and just following the evolution of them, of their rise. They didn't really fall; they just left.
Right.
So it was just a wild ride, and so fun to work with the greatest hair, makeup, wardrobe, hair, of course, makeup and wardrobe, where the words of this brilliant writer all came to light. And it's just a blast to be a part of it.
It's so cool. So I guess like for you, for like, I mean, obviously like there is certainly like a lot of like references I'm sure you could have made to like Fleetwood Mac and these other bands, I guess. Like, were you like, I guess, where do you start? Do you like put together like, I don't know, a vision board, for lack of a better term, or like how did you kind of like figure out, like, are you pulling for like Daisy, like, oh, these are kind of hairstyles I think would be great, or looking like Stevie Nicks specifically, or like kind of how did you go about like that?
The first thing I do is I talk with the creative directors or producers, directors, and Hello Sunshine is very hands-on. I mean, they have a vision which they're so good at what they do and describing that you become a part of it, and it just flows. Lauren Newstater hired me on Where the Crawdads Sing. So we did that movie, and she was always talking about Daisy Jones, and it's their love child. And, she was so excited about that. I had the tease before I even went in, so I knew I had a bit of a vision, but I started with them, it's amazing, but you really need to know the feeling of the characters. You need to know how they grew up, how their friendships with everybody. And then a vision just starts to happen. And then when I talk with the actors, we spend time really talking about their vision, not what they look like, just who their character is and how they feel and what they felt like when they were breaking up, what they felt like when they got, Karen to the band, all these different energies. Where were they in their lives at that moment? So you kind of break it down into their evolution. And we never shot in continuity. So that was continuity on the show is insane between the decades, between their different times of their popularity. So I started breaking down into, okay, these are kids. They're playing in a band. What was the town like? What was their money situation? How did they come up with, their look? And talking with, I started one way. I started with like wigs and extensions, and this is before really talking to them, just getting a jump on it. And in my prep time, because in prep, I didn't meet them till like the second half of prep. So I was getting wigs and extensions and thinking of rock and roll with this big hair and, the stuff I grew up on. And when I met them, and I was like, these are boys. These boys love their mother. They visit her. They, they take care of her. They're not growing their hair out. They're not doing this. And we even tested it, which when we stopped laughing, we got it on camera because it was not who they were. It was ridiculous. So I just thought Billy never really wanted to be in the band. His brother wiggled his way in there. So these boys, to me, yeah, they grow their hair, but they grow it naturally. They wouldn't go for the rock star, and especially Billy. And talking with Denise Wingate, the costume designer, I felt like she and I really thought the same way. So it was never a struggle. I would look at the clothes she designed and try to work with that. And so with Billy, he was a denim guy, denim shirt, denim, so I just tried to keep it that curly, natural look, him and his brother. And I kept it really curly when they were younger, and then just started pulling the curl out and making it bigger. But again, not crazy, but definitely more rock and roll as they got successful.
How did you, like you mentioned, like not doing in continuity, how does that impact your work? It feels like that would be like very, do you have like, are you taking like, did you have like Polaroids of like like Sam Claflin, do you have like a million pictures of him to know like when, like what it's supposed to look like throughout, like kind of?
I just thank God for iPads, because we could all have a monitor. So I would just keep, screenshot, because first off, we shot in dry Los Angeles, humid New Orleans, and humid, sweaty Greece. So not only did you have continuity of, okay, this is 1970 or this is 1980 or 1990, you had dealing with the elements. So I would have to keep equipment on set, and they'd say cut, and I'd run out there with a diffuser and blow dryer, just like trying to get their sweat away, or running out there and sweating them up. Or saying, I need 15 minutes, I got to take them back to this. They were bounced around, and thank God for this cast, because they were just like, my most fun was with Suki. I mean, this might be off subject, but
no, it's fine.
As they play, all right, now they're more successful, and they're playing in a big arena. And I walked up with my Avion spray, and I went to hit Suki with it, and she's like, no, I like my hair. And I was like, Suki, I have to. And she's like, okay, a little bit, not my bang. I like my bang. So I'm like going, okay. So then finally, I just went, snuck up behind her. I had two Avions. I tapped her on the back. She turned around, and I went, she's like, that wasn't nice. But they were a blast. It really, I think it looks so great because of the cast and the producers, in the atmosphere on set, and everybody was all in. They except for Suki's bangs, but everybody was all in. And I was able to sweat them up or make them look, like they haven't washed their hairs in days because they were doing drugs, or, Daisy, she went from innocent but with an edge to this famous hardcore rock star. She really engulfed the character, and her character did change. Her character did become famous. She jumped in the drugs. I mean, as they all did, but she dove in. Right. And because she knew her character so well, I could just come up with oil and start putting it on her roots. Never a question. I mean, she would just look, I would always like give her a mirror, and she'd go, yeah, okay, good. And it was very easy. Like I said, because the producers being so particular, and Daisy and all the characters really knowing their characters, it gave you a high every day.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like that watching it too. I think the show is just so, like you said, the book is very easy to read, but the show is so watchable. It's like really just a really great watch. You said something there that was interesting too, like that not like, I guess this is like the balance and like a great trick I think you're able to pull off is like with Billy or whatever. They're just like regular guys, or they're just kind of like, and then they explode. So it's like they're not getting their hair professionally done or anything, right? So then you have to like think about like, how would a guy, come out of the shower if he even showered, or what would his hair look like, right? Or if he was just like asleep in like a van or something, right? Like all those
Yeah.
things, I guess you're really thinking about.
Honestly, you almost, I'm not an actress or anything, but you read the sides during the day. And as you read them, you have to think, what, if I was that character, what would I do? And like, again, really knowing the characters, like Karen, she was cool from the beginning. She wasn't, Bridget Bardot was my inspo, because I saw a picture of Bridget Bardot. She had her hair down and she had the big curtain bangs and she had a cigarette hanging from her mouth and she was playing dice. And I just looked and I went, that's cool. That is that's Karen. She's just so cool and beautiful. And so she was easy to transition when she got in the band. When from the beginning, when she had her cool little braids going to the beach with Eddie, or Graham. What am I saying? I'm saying that by knowing their characters and how they live, and
Right.
Especially with Daisy, with her being on drugs, it was like, she OD'd last night.
Right.
But she's only been clean for 2 days. She's still not shampooing her hair and getting pretty,
Yeah, no, it's really amazing, because it really does add, like, it just it looks effortless, right? But it's obviously so much work to make it look like this is just very real. I want to ask you, I love Warren's hair is great throughout, and especially in the the 80s stuff, I think is awesome as well. I guess, can you talk about his look and like how you kind of like came to that, I guess?
Yes. Well, again, I started with extensions on him and I was like, no, that's not you. But I wanted his hair wild. I wanted it when he plays drums, because his character is wild. His character's cool and wild. And so there was one day he wasn't shooting. He was coming in for a camera test, and he came in on his motorcycle, and he walked in and he took his helmet off and his hair was like, and I went, we got it. This is your look, And the more like I could load his hair with product to make it like kind of dirty and just hit him with the blow dryer and then just go over the curls that looked like a rat's nest. And that was him. And he was great. He could sweat and his hair looked the same.
That's awesome. You mentioned like Hello Sunshine, obviously, and I know you did Where the Crawdads Sing with them as well. Like you said, like what, like I guess like what like stands out for you is like that separates them from like other production companies and stuff that you work for, I guess.
It's other companies. It's kind of a compliment, but they would just you create it, let us know, and it was easy. And when I worked with Hello Sunshine the first time, it was like, okay, what's your vision? What do you think? Oh, okay, I see that, but listen to this. This person just did this. And I go, oh, yeah. So it really did, everything I'm saying, really Lauren Neustetter changed me into really, I always thought of the characters, but she really went deep and it made a big difference. And we did a lot of tests. So when it came to shooting, we knew what to do. There was never an issue or somebody coming to set and them going, no, this isn't right. This isn't what I thought. It just, that's why it was always fun. You were never nervous, like, oh, is this going to fly? Or is this too much, too little? When you collaborate so much, it leaves no room for error. And everybody's so proud of their work. And it's just, Hello Sunshine has an unbelievable environment.
Yeah.
To keep everybody in the mood in between takes, say we had a big lighting scene, they played music. That one of the guys that did the continuity, he would blast 70s music. The lighting team had different colored lights scrolling around, and somebody would yell dance party and everybody would dance. It's like, I don't mean to make it sound like it was the easiest show, because it was so hard in so many hours. But if anybody can make a great set, it's Hello Sunshine.
Yeah, it sounds like hard, but also rewarding, right? Like, I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
and then like I think maybe you get like great work, because it seems like obviously the show is like a really everything, every department it seems like is like operating on a high level, and it's like
yeah,
really kind of it kind of shows maybe that way, I guess,
yeah, yeah. It just, I don't know, and it was very empowering. They
Yeah.
you know they they knew how hard we worked.
Do you have a favorite or like a favorite look? It's probably asking you to like pick a pick a child, basically pick a favorite child, but like I guess like do you have like a favorite hairstyle or something you were like, oh, this was like going to be tricky and it looked so great and I'm so glad it kind of like paid off?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Okay, it's you're not going to believe. Well, I mean, of course, Daisy. Like that's
Sure.
who is it? Uh, Eddie. You know why? Eddie's kind of the background guy, right? He's not the star of the show. He doesn't have the rock star hair. We just kind of I created that hair to go more with making him different.
Mhm.
And not exactly sexy, not ugly, just he was his own person. There's no, I can't. It's funny, when I was doing my inspo boards, Bridget Bardot's everywhere, Ally McGraw's everywhere, and then there's Eddie. I was like, okay, and I just I thought more the monkeys.
That's
So
yeah, no, it's really funny, and he does look like incredibly, like, again, like we're saying, like regular guy, just like
yeah,
totally like normal, right? Like you said, like
yeah,
not it's not like a joke, it's not hideous or anything. He just looks very straightforward.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's really, and that's a challenge too, probably, right? To make someone
It,
look like regular.
it's funny because I did Modern Family for years, and they were winning every award.
Mhm.
And the producer said to me, "You don't even submit yourself. Why aren't you submitting yourself?" And I said, "Because they don't give awards for making people look like people."
Yes, it's really true, and it's like that's almost sometimes obviously very difficult because like to make someone look like believably regular is a
Yeah,
trick, right? Like I think that's really
everybody wants to do their best work
mhm.
and show off, but that doesn't sell. That's not what works.
Right. Well, I think it's great because in this show, obviously, you have then Eddie and then all these other great, incredibly great looks that are
Yeah,
very, so it's like a good mix of everything. I think that's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And it's funny, and sometimes my second would do him, and I go, "No, it's too coiffed. That's not just he did it."
Right. Uh, it's great. We have to wrap up here. MaryAnn Hennings, hair department head for Amazon series Daisy Jones and the Six. It's a great show, and your work on it is so great. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.